So the question is, when does your favorite cologne expire? Well, the answer is easy. 3 years, 2 days, 9 hours, and 53 seconds after you buy it, it has expired. Seriously, doesn't matter how much you paid for that stuff, you need to throw it out. Actually, you need to send it to me, my address down in the description of today's video. But seriously, gents, it's a good question and one that unfortunately is a little bit hard to answer because it depends on 3 things. The first factor is chemical composition. As you can see from the chart right here, certain accords, certain notes are going to go bad sooner than others. Next up, we've got exposure to oxygen. Yes, oxidation is a real thing, and when it comes to fragrances, believe it or not, the alcohol content has a huge effect on how long a fragrance lasts. And on a side note, I think a lot of you guys are going to be surprised as to which fragrance type actually lasts the longest. Eau de fraîche, eau de toilette, eau de parfum, parfums. Make sure you stick around for the answer. And the third factor affecting longevity is how you store the fragrance, which I'll talk about at the end of this video, how to pack, how to store your fragrances so that they last longer than average. Now, some of you guys watching me say, well, isn't this simple? Don't fragrances have an expiration date on them? And the answer is yes and no. So some fragrances will have a PAO number, and that stands for period after opening. And in general, a fragrance on average is going to last about 30 months after opening. And you're going to find this on a variety of beauty products sold to both men and women, but not every product out there has a PAO number. Now, a more accurate way is to actually look at the bottom of the box and to grab the batch number. Then you're going to have to take this batch number and look it up. You can either go to the manufacturer's website. There are certain websites that they have little calculators here. You're going to need to choose the brand. You're going to enter that batch number, and they will tell you when it was manufactured. Now, the problem with this system is it doesn't take into account the 3 factors I talked about at the beginning, which again is going to be chemical composition, exposure to oxygen, and how you store it. I mean, because imagine these scenarios. When I look at the batch codes, both of these say they should last 3 months, but one of these you kept in cold storage. You never opened up. It was something that it's a darker, deeper, heavier fragrance versus this one was really lightweight. You actually used a lot of it, so it opened up a lot of room in the bottle for oxygen to get in there, and you stored it on a shelf exposing it to light. It's safe to say that although each should have a 30-month lifespan, this one's probably going to last a lot longer. Now in today's video, I'm not going to break into chemical composition, but in general, we're going to find that fragrances that have really delicate top notes. And by delicate, I mean they're volatile, they're projecting off, they don't usually last that long. So we're talking citruses, it's going to be fresh fragrances, aromatic fragrances, floral fragrances, green fragrances. In general, these are not going to last as long. Next up, we've got spicy fragrances, fruity fragrances, and some aromatic fragrances are going to have decent longevity. All factors being the same, they are going to last longer than a lot of the other fragrances I just talked about. Next up, we're starting to get into the deeper, heavier, richer fragrances. These are going to be sweet, they're going to have vanilla, they're going to have amber. These fragrances are going to last a lot longer than any of the aforementioned. And finally, we've got our leather, earthy fragrances. Fragrances that have tobacco. These are going to be the longest lasting fragrances. In fact, if you take care of these, you can easily get 10 years. And let's not forget wood fragrances. Now, wood fragrances come in a wide variety. There's agarwood, there is sandalwood, but in general, wood fragrances are going to have good longevity as well. Now, I know some of you guys are thinking, well, Antonio, I looked up the batch code and this fragrance has an expiration date. Then why are people buying vintage fragrances? So you do need to be careful when you're buying vintage fragrances, especially ones, again, that have the very delicate top notes. But again, if it is stored in a cool area, if it's not exposed to light, if it's not opened, then all of a sudden you actually can get really good longevity. Yes, it's got an expiration date on it, but so does salt. And salt, as far as I know, lasts, pretty much, it's a mineral. It lasts forever, pretty much. Now, fragrances aren't going to last forever, but they have found fragrant oils in tombs, and they found, these things, some of them are hundreds of years old, and people still wear some of these things. Yeah, crazy as it sounds. So let's now talk about oxidation. In case you don't know, the reason that we use alcohol in fragrances is because it does a great job of keeping oxygen at bay. I think it was the Italians or, the spice traders that figured out that if you didn't store those fragrant oils correctly, and that was a big trade back in the day, very valuable. You go back and you look at the birth of Christ, what was actually presented? Frankincense, myrrh, these type of smells and spices, but transporting these things in oil was very common. The problem is that oils could go bad very quickly. So what they found is if you actually mix them in with alcohol, they're going to last a lot longer. And what's interesting is the higher percentage of alcohol to the fragrant oil, the longer it's going to last, because it's going to keep basically the oxygen at bay. So that's when I was talking about at the beginning of this video. Believe it or not, an eau de fraîche or an eau de toilette is going to, in theory, last longer than an eau de parfum or a parfum, because even though those smell stronger, deeper, richer, heavier, because they have more fragrant oil in them, more of it is going to be exposed to oxygen whenever you start using the fragrance. And that takes us to the next key point, is when you start using the fragrance, all of a sudden you're pushing this down and more oxygen is going to make its way into the bottle. Now this fragrance right here, as you can see, it is mostly full, like most of the fragrances in my collection, despite me using 2 every single day, testing them out. I have, like 500 bottles, so I'm not able to get through them all. But whenever it starts to go down, you're going to find that it's that exposure, more oxygen being in the bottle, that it's going to start the oxidation process. And so if you've got a favorite fragrance, my advice is to use it all the way down to the bottom. Don't think that, oh, I've got a quarter of it left, I want to save it, I don't want to use it. That's a mistake, because as you get less and less of the fragrance in the bottle, it is going to go bad sooner and sooner. I know, it's a horrible thing to think, especially when you've got some of your favorite bottles out there you've spent a lot of money on. My advice is just to wear it, love it, remember it, and enjoy it for what it is, a work of art that you can wear on your body. So can you make a fragrance last longer by not opening it, keeping it sealed in the package? I think the answer is yes. I haven't actually seen any tests that can prove this. It just makes sense though. Right here, you've got so many things that are preventing oxygen from getting in there. A lot of times when they're manufactured, even small manufacturers, they've got a way basically to suck out the oxygen. At least I've heard. Again, even, it's one of those manufacturing secrets a lot of companies keep under wraps. But in general, the big thing you need to worry about is as it goes down, more air getting in there. So once you start to use, that's really when the clock starts. But yeah, a 10-year bottle that hasn't been touched is still sealed. Would I take a chance on it? I wouldn't pay extra for it. And I know some people love their vintage fragrances because things like oak moss you can't get anymore in the fragrance. But to me, I'm perfectly happy with what I have available. You got tens of thousands of options. Yeah, you got to be careful with those older fragrances. Some of them, could go bad even if they're sealed, because let's just face it, after 20 years, that air does get in there, and there's always probably a small amount that's in there reacting with the chemicals. Now, over the last few years here at Real Men Real Styles, many of you guys have noticed we've gone deep into fragrances, and that's because I kept finding all this research pointing out how you can condition yourself when you smell certain scents to actually go into a state of mind, how certain notes would actually affect your memory. They would affect the way you feel, your emotions, and how basically scent had a direct link to the brain. So leveraging all that information, we created a set of unique scent triggers specifically designed to help you reach peak performance. The Mission Fragrance set is designed for men that want to get unstuck, that want to be more focused, that want to use the power of scent to unlock their minds. If you can't tell, gents, this is a passion project, a really interesting project we've been working on now for over a year. So gents, if you want to learn more, down in the description of today's video, I'm linking over to Mission Fragrances, where you can get more information, where you can enter your email address, and we'll send more information your way on how to leverage the science of scent and how to possibly grab your own Mission Fragrance set. So now let's talk about storage. And I know a lot of you guys want to keep this on the shelf. You want to show, hey, I've got the money, or I just like simply the look of the bottle. But whenever you leave it out in the open, especially if it's in your bathroom where the temperature goes up, the temperature goes down, that's not a great thing. It is going to affect the longevity of the fragrance. And the biggest culprit here, again, is going to be sunlight. Direct sunlight, not a good thing. And in case you're wondering, the best way to store your fragrance so it doesn't go bad, you give it its best life, I'm going to recommend putting it right back in the box and putting it in your refrigerator. Yes, you heard me right, but I don't do it. So, but you hear people that are a little bit, hey, they treat it like wine. They love their fragrances and their collection. They've maybe I don't have room in my fridge. I mean, I've got 11 people in my house. But in general, if you keep it under a temperature of about 60 degrees, that's what the companies say in general will make sure that it lasts a bit longer. But you're keeping the temperature down. You're keeping that temperature steady, which I think is really important. And you're not exposing it to hot temperatures. So storing fragrances in your car, not a great thing. If you're going to do that, just get a travel atomizer. That right there, all of a sudden, boom, you can carry just enough for that week. And yes, because your car gets hot, it gets cold, and that's what you don't want to do to your fragrances. Now, gents, if you've enjoyed this video, if you like the infographics, all the details we go into, you got to go check out my website, realmenrealstyle.com. Over on the website, I've got tons of infographics, articles. Usually when I make these videos, I create a support article, which goes into more detail. Down in the description of today's video, I'll link over to realmenrealstyle.com where you can get more information. If you want to just learn more about style, you want to learn more simply about, sports jackets or fragrances. Now, how to tell if a fragrance has gone bad? Well, first up, you're going to notice maybe a change in the top notes. This fragrance right here, Koros, it's not going to. This stuff is going to last. This is going to be more animalistic. These are heavier, deeper notes. But on lighter fragrances, it is something you may notice, it just doesn't, I don't get that grapefruit at the top anymore. Another thing you may notice, especially if it's a clear bottle, you may see a change in color. Fragrances, when they start to go bad, usually get a little bit darker, more opaque in color. Sometimes you can also see crystallization in there, and that's not a good thing. I've also heard some people say that they know a fragrance has gone bad when it starts to irritate their skin. I'm not sure exactly why it would do this. If you do know, let me hear from you down in the comments below. And if you've got something to add to today's video, you're like, Antonio, you missed this. Guys, I want to hear from you. I know we've got chemists out there, scientists that have better explanations than I do. Well, come on, I read a whole book on this, but I don't know everything. And I love hearing from you guys. Again, want to hear from you down in the comments. But if you ever find a fragrance is irritating you, do not wear it on the skin. You could probably actually wear it on the body if you really like it and, test it. But yeah, if it starts to irritate you, some people say that is a sign it's gone bad. So what video to watch next? How to make sure your fragrance lasts all day. Seriously, guys, if you got a weak fragrance, you're like, Antonio, how do I get this thing to project more? How do I get it to last 1 day, 2 days, 3 days? Guys, I got you covered in this video right here. It's a good one. Go check it out. Just about started my office on fire.